We are the Trudel family. This is our son, Thomas Trudel.
And this is Nova, and that's Ella.
And I'm Shianne.
And I'm Ivan.
Thomas goes to Hope's Home Daycare in Prince Albert.
Thomas has a genetic condition that there's no other known or documented case on the planet, so that's like 1 in 7 billion.
Thomas spent the first year of his life in hospital. I lived at Ronald McDonald House for about the first 6 months. And he would come back and forth on his days off and take extra time off to be there, and the girls would come back and forth as we could have them, but as he had procedures happening, it was hard to have the girls there as well. At that point, we had reached out and were talking with Hope's Home, and they had a spot for him there, which was a step forward for us to get him out of the hospital.
We were obviously scared because he's a lot of work.
It's been a lot to learn, and it's not just a tube feed. It's learning oxygen and oxygen tanks and concentrators and how you change everything, and
and when should we give him morphine? When should we give him Ativan, gabapentin, clonidine? I mean, like all of these things that we're
used to Tylenol and Advil for your kids. Now we're giving drugs that are much more than just Tylenol and Advil, so it's kind of scary doing that at first.
Thankfully for Hope's Home, they had offered to make room for him, and so that helped us during the days Monday to Friday, which is a huge help.
At this point, there isn't a lot of other options without the nurses to help us in the evening. Some nights he's awake all night, and he does require oral and nasal suctioning, as well as his tube feed is on a continuous feed for 19 hours a day. So we rely on the help too with our nurses so that we can get some sleep and still take care of our 2 other girls.
He's my best friend because I love him.
If we didn't have Hope's Home, we probably would have burnt out a long time ago. When he's good, he's manageable, but when he's not good, it is a big handful. Yeah. It takes both of us. We don't even know what we would do. There is no such thing as help for a kid like this outside of Hope's Home. Before we had Thomas, we had heard of Ronald McDonald House, and we had heard of Hope's Home. Until we had Thomas, you just really have no idea until you're in that world. Once you're in that world, you see that there is major lack of support.
Hope's Home too provides the opportunity for our girls to still have playtime, have fun, do the things that they should be doing.
So we owe a lot of thanks to Hope's Home.
I love him so much. I love him this much.
How much do you love him?
All the way to the sky.
I was probably saying I can't do this anymore kind of thing before she was, and once she started talking like that, then I knew that we're getting close to the end. Yeah. We never got normal baby moments and little milestones and we never got that. It was always like put out fires. I got a text, I think it was from Jackie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Jackie said that we had finally got everything we needed, and they already had a nurse hired and trained and ready. Yeah. And as soon as we were done, he was ready to go from the hospital. He could go straight from there.
We know we've struggled. We've done all that we can for him. The proper supports in place for what he would need would be supportive living at Hope's Home.
Although it's hard, we have to think about the greater good for Thomas, and this is the better place for him and for all children like this. because they can't flourish at home when the parents are pushed to the absolute limit.
We have no
So-
medical background, either of us. That was a lot
You quickly
on us.
had to learn what to do.
My name is Nicole Foy, and I'm a nursing supervisor at Hope's Home in Prince Albert. We're used to working with social services in the foster system. So if children are in the foster system, they are funded through social services. Funding is already there, so it's a little bit different process and a little bit easier process, in my opinion, to get to Hope's Home or places like Hope's Home. For biological families, there is not that funding available. It is very rare that health and the health authority does give fundings to families like that for situations like this. But I just knew from talking to Ivan and Shianne that giving their child up to the Ministry of Social Services was not an option that they were willing to do. And I don't feel like that is an option that any parent should ever have to deal with. He has settled into Hope's Home quite nicely. Staff do an amazing job with him. He's had a continuity of care as far as our nurses go. At the end of the workday, a family should just be able to be a family. So Hope's Home has given that opportunity to him and to the family, really.
To have the backing, the understanding, the support was from Hope's Home, the staff, to have Thomas in supportive living was huge. Like, it was such relief to know that we don't have to burn out, that we can sleep, we can not have to stress so much. It was definitely like you could breathe again.
So now that Thomas is living at Hope's Home, we're prepared to spend time with him. So when we do spend time with him now, it's quality time.
We're parents, we're not caregivers. At this point, I guess Thomas wasn't expected to survive very long, which he has. He's 2.
I think most doctors never, I think they would admit that none of them ever thought he would make it this
No.
far. And now that he's at Hope's Home, he has access to the proper chairs and the recreational therapists and the developmental workers, the nurses. They have standing frames. So just today I seen him for the first time standing. I've never seen that before, so that's pretty cool. He's getting the things here that he wouldn't get at home. It didn't feel really wrong. It felt like an extension of our family.
And Thomas is very loved at Hope's Home, which we're very grateful for.
Another great thing about Hope's Home is it's very non-judgmental. Because everybody understands. They get it. You'd be surprised what you can do when you have to. And that's very true. You'll find yourself in situations in life where you're like, oh, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to do this? But when you're alone and you have to figure it out, you're going to figure it out. My advice is that if you're a parent and you're going through something like this, use that pain and the love for your kid, use that as your fuel. Drive yourself to push to get what your child needs.
Thomas's life is a legacy. He's a little boy who's 2 years old who is breaking down barriers and changing the healthcare system. These kids are our family. We are protective of these kids, all of us. These kids, they mean the world to us. And our goal every day, each and every day, is to give them the best quality of life that they can.
Thank you so much.
It's very difficult to put into words.
Thank you for having our back, for supporting us.
And so thank you for putting that passion into doing what's right and getting these kids what they deserve.